Namaskar, welcome to Northeast Web Shots. This is Angel. Today we are in Gangtok, right before Hotel Tibet. And today we are here especially for the purpose. Mr. Penpa, who is the president of the Tibetan government in exile, is visiting Sikkim for 3 days. He visited Ravangla yesterday and he is here in Gangtok today meeting his people, understanding the situation here. Please watch this report, specially made by Northeast Web Shots team.
The Tibetan people in Kalimpong, Darjeeling, Ravangla and Sikkim, and try to understand the situation and see how we can plan our projects ahead.
So how long will you stay here in Sikkim?
Only 3 days, including today.
This is a border state. Sikkim share with the border with Tibet. So, what will be your strategy with China in near future?
Now there is ongoing border issues between China and India on the Tibet border. I think China's belligerence towards India is unwarranted, it's unnecessary. It's very difficult to fathom why they are doing this. This has been going on for the last 6-7 decades, and there have been so many rounds of discussions between the Indian government and the Chinese government on the Tibetan border, and still it has not been resolved over so many years. At this point of time, when China is having or creating problems with all its neighboring countries, including India and South China Sea and in Taiwan, with its neighboring countries, and also within China, the policies and programs that the Chinese government adopts towards the Uyghur people, towards the Tibetan people, towards the Mongolian, the people in Hong Kong, and the aggressive mood on Taiwan. It's completely, I fail to understand why China is doing all this. And I hope better sense will prevail over the Chinese leadership that these are unnecessary. It does not help creating harmonious relation within the country or with its neighboring countries. So I think the Chinese government will have to revisit their policies, see how better relations can be developed with its neighboring countries, because it does not help anybody and everybody. So it's also a lot of wastage of resources that can be used for education, for the betterment of people, are being spent on defense unnecessarily. Therefore, I would plead to the Chinese leadership that this should not continue, and they should work with the international community to be a responsible global leader. Today they have military power, they have economic power, but they don't have moral power. So it's up to the Chinese leadership to build moral power if they want to be a global leader. Without moral power, no one can be a global leader, because there is always a trust deficit. So I hope that things, better sense will prevail over the Chinese leadership and things will improve.
And are you happy with the strategy of Indian government towards China regarding this border issue and all Tibetan issues?
China has never treated India as an equal, and there is also always a hypocritical position that the Chinese government takes when it comes to their relationship with the United States. They always say that we are not being treated equal. But when it comes to China's relationship with its neighboring countries, then they don't treat India also as equal. So it's very important that India stands up to its position, not kowtow to the Chinese leadership, because China does not respect weak powers. China respects strong powers. So India, as of now, is taking a very strong position, and that is the way how it should be.
Indo-China border trade is going on quickly. So are
Indo-China border?
Indo-Tibet border trade through Nathula going on, it should be resumed or not?
If there has to be peace, if there has to be a cooperation, if there has to be understanding between nations, then there has to be free flow of people, there has to be free flow of trade. And as far as I understand, I was here in 2007 when Nathula border was opened, and just 1 week after that I was at Nathula border. But what was expected by opening the border for trade, I think did not yield the result as much as Indian government or maybe both sides wanted. Because if there has to be better relation, it cannot be just one-sided. It has to be both sides. There has to be cooperation from both sides to improve the situation and trade.
So what will be your agenda as far as Sikkim Tibetan is concerned, and their issues, and even this Free Tibet campaign is still there, so what will be your strategy?
Now, I'm not here on a political mission, actually. I cancelled my visit to Arunachal Pradesh because there were some issues at the border. And 20th October also marks the Chinese aggression on India in 1962, and we did not want it to create any embarrassment to the Indian government. Therefore, we cancelled our trip to Arunachal and undertook this part of the trip to meet and understand my people's problems and see how we had to develop policies and programs for the sustainability of the Tibetan diaspora in India.
What is the type of situation, what situation would you like to see? Because you're not doing anything political. What type of situation, what part of situation would you like to see? Is it social, economic, or what sort? Like suddenly you decided, so
No,
what would you like to know
No,
about
this-
them? Because they were flourishing like anything,
yeah, it's part of my
studying everything.
it's part of my job to visit, meet my people, and understand their problems. So, as Buddhists and as ardent follower of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, we would like peace everywhere in the world, not just between India and China. So, to promote peace, we all have to practice compassion. We all have to practice understanding, and there has to be trust between peoples or between countries. So anything that will promote understanding between nations is much appreciated, because violence will beget more violence. It will not be a solution to resolve problems. So we have to show to the world that any issue or any conflict can be resolved through non-violence, not necessarily through violence. So therefore, to promote understanding, to promote peace, that would be what His Holiness wants, because His Holiness dedicated all his life in the promotion of peace in the world and understanding in the world. So we will also be, as followers of His Holiness, we also follow the same path. And that is the message that should go around the world, that any conflict can be resolved through dialogue, through negotiation, but not through violence, not through war, not through aggression.
So one question, since you've mentioned...
The reason for me not going to Arunachal Pradesh is not because of pressure from the Chinese government. It is a step that we took voluntarily, because we never wanted to create any embarrassment for the Indian government. So therefore, it's a voluntary decision that we took. And the reason for me coming to Gangtok is, as I mentioned before, is also not political. But it so happened incidentally that Gangtok is also bordering with Tibet. So maybe you take it in a different sense, but here I'm on a mission to meet my people and understand my people's situation.
So, but these are two back-to-back days where yesterday...
I have nothing to do with Tenzing Tsundu. He is a Tibetan individual who works for the cause of Tibet, and he has freedom to go wherever he wants. But as myself, as somebody who represents the Tibetan people, the Tibetan administration, it's my bounden duty to look after the welfare of my people. It's not a political strategy for Tenzing Tsundu to come here. It is not coordinated in any way, and I have nothing to do with him. I have no communication with him whatsoever.
But yet, sir, any activity from a Tibetan leader or an activist, largely in parts of India, is taken otherwise by China. How do you respond when probably the scenario might change here in Sikkim also with regards to their stand?
China lives in an illusionary world where they don't trust anybody. So there is always a lot of distrust. So even within China also, China is the only country who spends more money on internal security than external security. So you know that from that perspective itself, you can understand that there is a lot of trust deficit between the people who rule and the people who are being ruled. So that trust deficit has to be bridged by the Chinese government. If they, as they say, they're looking for a harmonious society, harmonious relation with its neighbors, how can you have harmonious relations with neighbors when you are always provoking other nations to go against you? So that is definitely not the right step. So it has to come from the Chinese leadership. That is why I keep saying I hope that better sense prevails over the Chinese leadership, that this does not help anybody in any way.
So, sir, any message for the people of Sikkim?
We have a very long historical relationship between Tibet, between independent Tibet and Sikkim, when Sikkim was an independent state. So we also enjoy the same culture, and we also enjoy the same religion. We practice the same religion. So the relationship between Sikkim at one time as a kingdom and Tibet as an independent state is very special and very deep. We had centuries of relationships, so that is something that we cherish with the people of Gangtok, people of Sikkim, and that relationship continues to this day. Yesterday I was in Buddha Park near Rawangla, and those are symbolic of our commonality of cultures between the two states here. So Sikkim will always enjoy a special place in the hearts of the Tibetan people.
Thank you so much.